Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video. So y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all. This will be a part 2 to the video we did about the New Orleans attack and the Las Vegas Cybertruck being blown up in front of the Trump Tower, right? Now, this one will more focus on the Cybertruck being blown up in front of the Trump Tower. A lot of y'all were requesting that I watch the Sean Ryan podcast and the update that he did about the email that was sent to someone he had as a guest on the podcast, right? Because I think the email and what they talk about in the podcast is very important, and it's not far off from what we already were thinking this was, but it's very interesting to see, you know, guys who are like former military, former CIA, you know, and have these kind of ties to people still in all kind of agencies across the country or maybe even across the world, right? It's interesting to see them think and talk the way we would talk and be very suspicious of the government, right? So it turns out that this story has a completely different twist than a lot of people knew. If you watch mainstream, you won't catch any of this stuff. Obviously, I don't think they're posting this email, as they would deem it didn't have any credibility. They don't know it's actually from him, you know, so on and so on, right? So these two guys, they actually go in, and it's a very good hour-long show to listen to. For anybody that haven't seen it, I'm sure a good bit of y'all have seen it by now, because some of y'all requested for me to go ahead and listen to it and react to it, right? So in this video, we're going to take the time. I clipped out the most important parts of the video that really go into the email and the theory on whether or not he is actually dead. And for some of y'all that haven't heard it, it is a very interesting listen, y'all. So without keeping this intro too long as usual, y'all, we'll go ahead and jump into the first clip of this video. Check this out.
I sat there for probably an hour talking to my wife. I'm shaking. I can't even think straight. Like, normal day is shot, and I didn't know what I want to do. Do I sit on this? Do I do nothing with it? I've got to tell somebody. I've got to tell the FBI at least, because this is huge. This is all over the news. And then I was like, well, dude, this guy wanted to get in contact with Sean Ryan, so let me get this to Sean Ryan, see if I can get with him. And I had a buddy who knew your producer, and we went from there. But
Wow. Do you want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or on to the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPCEN, that's Operations Center, our OPCEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they use the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice, and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWAT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So Backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive VBID. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with, redacted, IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones.
All right, y'all. So a couple of points in that email, right? The first thing, obviously, that he talked about were the drones and the fact that they're basically powered by China. They've been shooting them off submarines from the East Coast for years. Also relating it back to the balloons that are a part of an integrated comm system, saying that the drones are gravitic propulsion systems. So I don't know if that's anti-gravity or not. They were kind of talking about it more in the show as well. And they were basically saying the term is like really science fiction, but it's real. It's definitely real. They're not manned. They're, basically like the same thing that we discuss when we talk about UFOs and how the UFOs aren't manned. There's no one controlling it. They're dipping in and out of, dimensions. They're doing things that defy gravity, right? In the email, he said the U.S. and China are the only countries supposedly who are capable of this, and that it is actually China who are powering the drones that we've been seeing that have, all of a sudden kind of disappeared out the media. It's a show of force, and that they also have those balloons still in the air at any given time. So the stuff gets pretty deep. So that kind of gives us an insight into what this whole drone thing may have been. Now, the second thing to point out was this section of the email. And it goes to say, I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the DOD, DEA, and CIA. I, which is Matthew, he conducted targeting for these strikes over 125 buildings. 65 were struck that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. They continued the strikes after spotting civilians. And it was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was a part of that cover-up, so on and so on. His question here would be, why? So let's take what we know so far. The New Orleans attack was done by a guy who served at Fort Bragg. The Cybertruck being blown up in front of the Trump Towers was done by an active military personnel, also served at Fort Bragg. They both served in Afghanistan in 2009 at the same time. They both rented the vehicles from Toro. Both of them are allegedly deceased. There was a note in the Cybertruck that said, this is not an attack. This is a wake-up call. There is also a flag, an Islamic flag in the truck of the guy who did the New Orleans attack. There was an email before this guy blew the Cybertruck up. There were supposedly videos before the other guy did the New Orleans attack. So we're talking about very similar pieces and bits of information that essentially makes this the same thing. And by that, I mean on how it was done. All of the evidence that's coming out, essentially it's like the same thing. But this one is getting a little bit more weird when we find out some of this information, especially in this email. It looks pretty legit. Now, the guy who Sean Ryan was interviewing, he said, he couldn't verify that the information he was talking about was legit. But, I don't think if you're actively involved, I don't think anyone would be able to verify it, especially if the DOD, CIA, if they covered up what supposedly happened in 2019 with over basically like a mass killing of civilians in Afghanistan that he says he was a part of. So, the question goes back to why. What is actually going on here? If that was such a cover-up, I highly doubt this was done to show that stuff like that has been going on for so long and people want, and he wanted the truth out there, because I'm pretty sure those kind of cover-ups have been going on for a very long time. In every war that we've probably participated in as a country. So I feel like that's neither here or there. But the fact that these are very similar, I guess you don't have to call both of them attacks, but they're very similar. We know Fort Bragg is, it comes up in this multiple times. And now that we've learned a lot what takes place at Fort Bragg, being, MK Ultra, super soldiers, satanic sacrifice, all kind of maybe special ops, obviously psychological warfare, so on and so on. You name it, and it probably goes on at Fort Bragg. Now that I know things about it, and, we've come across this information, this stuff doesn't surprise me at all, y'all. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get into the second half of this clip, and then we'll wrap this video up. Check this out.
I mean, it's very obvious why he did this, I think. He wanted to bring attention to the incident in 2019 that got covered up. Do you have any insight, any theories on this?
So we had a running theory downstairs. I've seen all of the conspiracies. I've seen all the questions about, all right, this guy is 20-year special forces. He just got done with team sergeant time. He is a very qualified and very capable Green Beret. Everybody I've spoken to who knew the guy prior. Yesterday, I spoke to several people, to include his old team leader, who's now lieutenant colonel. Said he was fine, nothing out of place. His mental state was not something that anybody was concerned about. His ex-girlfriend posted photos of him bragging about how he got a Tesla and all this other stuff. So stick with me here. Very capable guy, but he loads the Tesla up. A Tesla, which Elon Musk brags about being bulletproof, right? So this is one of his selling points. It's bulletproof. We even saw Joe Rogan shoot an arrow at it and wasn't able to puncture this thing. So he loads up a Tesla knowing that it's going to, not explode like he wants it to with fireworks and a bunch of other junk, when he can make a car bomb that's going to level this place. Here's what I think. So the PAO, the Army PAO, is saying that the body inside the cab did not match the DNA of his child. All right. We also know that there was they said he was shot by a Desert Eagle. We know that there was no signature when it rolled up. So nobody shot themselves when it rolled up to it. You would have seen a large signature. Mr. Guns and Gear, he's on X. He goes into this a lot in depth. He's a firearms expert, and he talks about this. And there's no signature. So this is what happens. You get a Tesla because it can drive itself up to the hotel, the Trump Tower. You put a body in it, roll it up. It's already burned up, or it's already shot, excuse me. You don't want to kill anybody, because that's not the message you're trying to send. You're not trying to level the tower or kill a bunch of people. So you load it up with fireworks and a bunch of junk to send a message. And we know that his signal number, or his signal safety number, changed. That can't be done unless you're inside that signal account. And a lot of people conjecture, was the FBI inside his signal account, whatever else. But what if he accidentally changed his safety number, goofed up there? He rolled a body up in a Tesla, specifically because a Tesla can drive itself up to the tower, and did what he did to send a message to expose his stuff. And he's still alive out there somewhere.
Well, the other
answers
thing
a lot
is,
of questions.
The other thing is maybe the FBI wasn't in his phone. Maybe, I mean, this guy's obviously very competent. I mean, he's got a TSSCI clearance. I'm
Very.
sure the polygraph has been associated with USASOC. Obviously, he was on this operation in 2019. By the way, the general in charge of that was General Miller. You'll see that in the email that we post on X later after this interview comes out. You know, maybe he changed his number on purpose and switched phones because he obviously was tipped off or conducted his own counter surveillance and caught Homeland or FBI tracking him. And so I think there's a very good possibility that that Matthew Livelsberger might be still alive.
It checks, as far as I can tell, it checks all the blocks.
The Desert Eagle, the Desert Eagle, I mean, yeah, a little over the top firearm. But if you think about it, if he was going to kill himself or whoever was in that car was going to kill themselves, look, if I was going to commit suicide with a firearm, I would go with the biggest possible caliber of bullet that I could to make sure that it actually worked, because I wouldn't want to be sitting there choking all over myself with a fucking 9mm or something.
True.
So that is, as far as I know, a 50 caliber Desert Eagle is the biggest handgun caliber that you can get. And so that could play into this as well. But
there's a lot going on.
Was there something in that email again that said that this would prevent World War III with the UAP?
Well, it didn't say it would prevent World War III, but he was asking that, he said, you need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war, because this is a mutually assured destruction situation.
I wonder what he's trying to do with these, what he's trying to tell us with these drones.
I hesitate to even get into this realm because I have no expertise in drones, or let's just call it alien technology, UFO technology, whatever's going on here. But here's one thing that I talked about with the guys downstairs earlier. Several weeks ago, I don't know if you saw that video. It was a New Jersey sheriff or chief of police, I can't remember which, but he flew their own drone up, their own department drone up to try to figure out what was going on. So we had all these drone issues that were being cited off of New Jersey and everything. And what he commented on video was how fast these things were. He said, we have a pretty robust drone, and they flew it up there to try to catch these drones that were there, and they just, bam, they were gone. He said there was no catching them, never seen anything like it. They don't even know, they have no idea what that could have been. And so you have this capability that is, I guess, in line with what we hear about anti-gravity being. And I don't know. It makes you wonder.
All right, y'all. Man, it gets deep. I'm not gonna lie. And what's going on with all this stuff, right? The drones, this message that this guy is supposedly trying to send to us, right? So remember, I was asking why. They ended that section with, why Las Vegas? Why the Trump Hotel? Why did this happen? His first thoughts is that this was to shed light on the cover-up in 2019 in Afghanistan. Mass killings of civilians. And it was something that, according to his morals, he just couldn't have on his heart. That was what he was trying to expose. I don't know if that has hit mainstream media, like I said, but a lot of us know now, millions of us know, what this was possibly about. So it raises another question. Why the Cybertruck? Why the Trump Hotel, Elon Musk? All of these people come up with this stuff, Cybertruck going viral and just kind of taking over the wave of, all the famous people buying Cybertrucks, and just took over. Cyber, right? They gave us the theory that, he got the Cybertruck to drive itself up to the Trump Towers. We know that the Cybertruck is advertised to be bulletproof. So here's the thing. If this theory is true, and he used some dead body or some fake body, who knows? We're never going to see the body. Supposedly it's burned past recognition. And this guy was not in a state of mind where he was just all over the place. You know, his lieutenant said this guy was good. He was steady. He was normal. You know, this wasn't a situation where he wanted to do an attack, because he could have used something way stronger to blow the entire thing up as far as the building goes itself. So he used petty stuff, fireworks, whatever, just to basically set the truck on fire, right? And if that's not him, then where did he get the body from? Is it a real body? Is it, just a fake body? You have to ask that question as well. What body was used? If he is still alive and his face is all over the news, then this is not a mission just with him alone. This has to be government. This has to be more help, because now you're never going to see him again. To the mainstream media, to the world, this man is dead now. He wanted to send a message. All we have is the email, whatever else we know about him, whatever the army is willing to put out, government, so on and so on. This man is dead to the world. So this is deeper than just him, faking his death to get a message out about 2019 and these drones that are supposedly anti-gravity and acting as UFO technology. Y'all, this is a head scratcher, and it's one of those situations where, once again, I feel it is very controlled. Remember, we gave the examples of the two situations and how they compare, as in the New Orleans attack and what happened in Las Vegas at the Trump Tower with the Cybertruck. We gave the examples of how they are very similar. So this is coordinated. And I'm not sure. Now, I can go, y'all already know how we do on this channel. I can go and fully say that, yeah, he's probably not dead. But, we're never going to see this guy again. It's not like, oh, yeah, I'm going to come out, boom, go against all the plans. I'm alive. That's not going to happen. So what about his family? What about people that know him? Where's he going to go if he's not alive? Maybe some underground military base. I don't know. Underground city. I have no idea. That brings a lot of questions if he is actually not dead. And is any of this stuff gonna, change anything? Or, the whole thing with the drones, and possible world war that he was trying to warn us about. Like, this is a deep story. You know what? I'm just like, hey, man, if this was me, I'll just go on YouTube Live and tell y'all what it is, and whatever happens, happens. Like me, I couldn't be one of those guys. I'm going to tell everything. That's just who I am. This is a head scratcher, y'all, and this is very deep, and it's a lot of questions with this stuff. And definitely with the drones, which is also kind of why I didn't do an early video on the drones and stuff, because we already know what that is. It's the same technology that they use for the UFOs. It's the same thing. And if it's being controlled by China and they have the same tech that we have, and supposedly they're showing a force, a hand, or, basically threatening yo, we'll pull up whenever. But then he also talked about there's a company that, has expertise in EMPs, and that these EMPs can take out 100 drones at a time. So he said that we could have easily fried those drones if we wanted to, but we never did. So, let's fuck with the public. Let's get this alien invasion stuff going on. So when we actually do this alien invasion, we'll fool the entire world. Hey, man, look, this story is deep, man. And I'm going to just cut it right here. Any more information comes out, y'all already know we're going to jump on it. Very, very interesting, y'all. Let me know y'all take. Let me know what y'all think about all this stuff. It gets me going, man, and I hope it gets y'all going to know the truth, want to spread the truth, and just be digging into what they trying to fool us with every other day, y'all. It's crazy. So, yeah, man, with that being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm going to see y'all soon. I'm out.